Russia decided to withdraw its modernized tank, the T-14 Armata, from the battlefield in Ukraine, on the grounds that it had finished conducting various tests on the tank. According to Russia's national news agency, TASS, the tank was sent to Ukraine for testing. And after it completed the test, it was withdrawn from the battlefield. The purpose of using the T-14 Armata tank in Ukraine is to test and evaluate the performance of the combat vehicle in a real combat environment. The tank has been withdrawn from the front line, the news agency said. In fact, he said, modern Russian tanks were also deployed to Syria in 2020 to gain experience and be tested in a real war environment, as happened in Ukraine. Initially, Russia intended to produce about 2,300 T-14 Armata tanks by 2020, but due to a number of problems including tight economic sanctions against the country following its invasion of Ukraine, the effort stalled. To date, Russia has only been able to produce a limited number of tanks. Mass production of the advanced Russian tank is only expected to begin in 2025. Last July, Russia was reported to have deployed the T-14 Armata tank to the battlefield in Ukraine. But the deployment was intended to test it, according to national defense industry sources to the TASS news agency. Modernized Russian tanks serve with the Southern Administrative Command of the Russian Army responsible for operations in Ukraine. Russian military personnel serving in the Southern Administration of the Russian Army has begun to actively use Armata tanks. Some modern tanks have been sent to the battlefield to see how they perform. After that, action on the battlefield, it will be pulled from the front line. Russian defense industry sources told the Tush news agency. T-14 Armata tank developed by UkraineThe company was introduced to the public in 2015 at a parade in Red Square. UkraineThe, based in Nizhny Tagil, is the world's largest tank manufacturer and has been around since the days of Joseph Stalin. Tanks that will be exported to overseas customers who are interested began intensive testing in 2019. The company UkraineThe is supposed to deliver about 80 Armata to the Russian Army by the end of 2022. International defense analysts claim that the T-14 Armata tank, which has a similar design to Western tanks, also uses the material and technology developed by Western companies, like many other Russian weapons. The T-14 Armata is said to terrify the West because it has the latest technology. Heavier and stronger armor, unmanned 125mm cannon, unmanned turret, digitization of operations and various other advantages. The latest Russian tank, weighing 48 tons, is said to be far better than most Western main tanks. According to reports in 2016, NATO commanders were concerned about the T-14 Armata tank can strengthen their armor punch, especially in Eastern Europe and the Baltic countries.